Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. If you're a returning visitor, I want to thank you for liking and subscribing. The numbers, quite frankly, are pretty astounding. I'm just a normal guy doing what I like to do in my own home shop, and apparently you guys like that as well. So if you keep enjoying it, I'm going to keep doing it, and we're going to get along just fine. Today, we're not actually going to be working on any car stuff. I've got to do some shop stuff. I am terrible about cleaning up as I work on something. And usually by the end of what I'm done doing, I've got a huge mess in front of me and I get tired of tripping over stuff and I just can't deal with the mess. My OCD kicks in and we go on a huge cleaning spree. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. Everything needs to be picked up, cleaned, and reorganized. That's pretty much what we're going to get busy doing right now. Man, I feel like I could do that every day for the next week and I still wouldn't have this place clean. That's the downside of having a bigger area to work in. It's also a bigger area to clean. So what took about a minute and a half on camera with the time lapse took about 4 hours in real life. So hope that was enjoyable. All right, so we've moved the cabinet over here. We've got all of our paint supplies and everything somewhat organized. It's never the way I want it. No matter how much I organize and clean, it's just, I get done with that and then it's disappointing. Like I want it to be better. So this whole area back behind me, there's going to be a future project, hopefully fairly soon, that we're going to get busy with. And matter of fact, this whole area over here, actually everything, yeah, this entire area is gonna get some work. So it's just like everything else, time and money. But this is kind of a prelude into that. So let's get busy with everything else. So if you're wondering what this monstrosity is behind me, don't worry, you're not alone. I have absolutely no idea. When we bought the shop, all of this stuff was covered up with what seemed like some halfway decent kind of build outs, about a 2-foot little countertop. This was a cabinet shop before I bought it, and the original owner had passed away. Unfortunately, it had been on the market for a little while. And we came out and checked it out. Here's some pictures of us walking through it on the first day. We put an offer in. We got this shop, and luckily it came with a little bit of land and a house. So we ended up fixing up the house and moving out here, and that's kind of how I came to acquire this space. Unfortunately, this was all covered up, so we couldn't really see how bad the damage was. There was a little bit of cracking in the walls, and if you know anything about concrete and bricks, it's those that have cracked and those that will. So that didn't really concern me all that much. There was one area of concern over here that I did see, and I had a few people come look at it at the time before inspections, and they kind of assured me that it looks bad, but it's not really as bad as it looks. And I kind of agree, because we've been over here for about 5 years now, and that wall, as terrible as it looks with the big gaps and daylight coming through, hasn't moved, not even a centimeter. So it's solid, but it's not really attached to anything. Just so you know, this is the front. This is the back part of the front of the shop. So the area that you see me working in most of the time is the back half of the shop with the lift and everything. And the best thing I can figure out is that they adjoined this new part of the shop and just built out this way, and then kind of did the same thing all the way around. And this was the original back wall of the original shop, and they just kind of built everything off of that. Didn't properly tie in the masonry work to the original building, because they didn't want to disturb any of that. But as to this little ledger wall, I have no idea. I think that the terrain was probably built up, because the back is terraced out there a little bit. And so they probably didn't want to dig all this out, because that would have been a huge undertaking at the time for no real reason as to why they left it against the back of the original wall. Your guess is as good as mine, and even more so why they built what appears to be a footer 4 feet high off the ground. Again, your guess is as good as mine. I've been in construction most of my adult life, and I've never seen anything quite like that. Luckily, I'm not in construction anymore, but that's still kind of how we have to approach this, as to why people do certain things and why things get built a certain way. It makes us question a lot of people's mental state when it comes to building things. So we do have a little area outside that this kind of just, I guess, pushed out. And then when they built this back half of the shop, they just kind of attached on to that overflow of concrete outside, which is another terrible decision. Why you wouldn't just fix it then, I don't know. But we have to deal with it now, and I've looked at it long enough. We've been in this shop for almost half a decade, so almost 5 years we've been out here, and I've been slowly working to get it the way I want to. And we're coming up on some things that need to be a little bit more dust free, and we're going to do some things to the shop that will help out with that. But it's kind of hard to keep this area clean when you have all this Georgia red clay just kind of falling off the wall every time you walk into the shop. So having dirt inside your garage like it's falling off of a mudslide area is not particularly fun. So we're going to go get a wheelbarrow and try to get as much of this stuff out of the shop as we can, and then we're going to look at what we're going to have to do to actually start busting this concrete up. All right, so that little area back there, it took about 2 or 3 hours, which is about the same amount of time that 4-hour huge jackhammer took in the front. And at that rate, I got about 30 feet, 4 foot high, about 8-9 inches thick to bust out. And that's just far too long for me to keep messing with these little tools. So we're gonna go rent something a little bigger, and hopefully that will help. Now in the past I've already rented a jackhammer, and this section right here looks the same as this section over here. So it's just nice flat. It came out a little bit further, but just this little section was about 4 hours worth of jackhammering, and that was with the huge, construction, size jackhammer. So this stuff is solid concrete. I think we're going to end up having to rent a concrete saw a back line as deep as we can all the way down the wall, and then come in here and cut sections and then try to sledge that out. I don't know how difficult that's going to be, but I'm betting it's going to suck. So for now, we're just going to clean up the mess and get as much stuff on the ground, out of the ground, and then clean up some of the back areas as much as we can, and then figure out how much we're actually going to have to cut out in the future. Hit that subscribe button. As always, we appreciate it very much, and thank you so very much for watching this video.